remnant low of the tropical system starts to come up into the state. So if you're in this area all the way, this is Willow and Brown Springs. Let me go a little bit tighter on here and show you some areas. We're talking about County Road 305 over here. There's Highway 128 over to the west, but this is that northwestern corner of Dallas County. And for right now, that's the wind field. It's a lot easier to see if we just look at the wind field within it. It's north of Highway 8, largely rural area, but County Road 305, and there is the area, Round Hill. If you're in that area, you need to go to the lowest floor of your home, the most interior part, and away from exterior walls and windows. Get in a closet, a small bathroom, just get as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can. As this tropical system comes in, there is the possibility with many of these storms from time to time to produce rotation and the possibility of a tornado. And so we're going to be watching that as it moves up toward Highway 9 and into Malvern. That would be its eventual track as it moves off to the north. And this one's going a little bit faster at around 40 miles per hour. So,
Barry, can we pull up Storm Scan? I think there's one feature we should show.
Let's
Guys,
pull up
just take
Storm
it full.
Scan
There you
real
go.
quick. Yeah.
You can point it out here, but the area of rotation that we're watching is probably the strongest that we've seen so far tonight, at least within range of one of our radars. That's an area of rotation that looks like, to me, could produce a tornado at any moment.
Right.
It's just kind of perfectly aligned. I think there's no debris signature just yet, but it takes a scan or two to show up. So if you're in the northern section of Dallas County, that's a pretty alarming scan there, and I would caution everyone going north up into Hot Spring County to get into a safe spot immediately. I'll be watching for any debris that maybe shows up here on radar in just a moment.
I'm going to get a track on that. And we can go back, if we can go back to computer number 1, moving north at 40 miles an hour. This would put it in Malvern at 7:55. So we're about 24 minutes away from that. Eventually Magnet Cove and Lonsdale would be on down. Small community of Central, which is down to the south of Malvern. So that's kind of the time frame that we're looking at if this storm holds together. These tropical thunderstorms and their attendant tornadoes, if they have them, a lot of times don't persist for that long. But this storm has been kind of out by itself. And so we're going to continue to watch this one very closely as it moves off to the north. I'm going to put it into motion for you. You can see how in the last little bit, it really has tightened up quite a bit on the rotation there. And so that is an area that we're looking at. And if we go in a little bit closer to it, and really this is about the only thing that we've got going in the state right now. There's a storm that's moving up toward Union County, but I'm going to go really closely in here in Highway 222, and that's Lono over to Donaldson would be in the path of this storm right here. Here's the highway 222 as this moves off to the north up into Hot Spring County. And we'll keep it in one spot here on the latest scan. They'll be scanning this storm quite frequently, I think, because it is the only one really that we're looking at of note. I'm going to back out. We'll go back to just the reflectivity product there. Not a lot of other action going on. In fact, this is the only warning that's in the state. Nope, there's a new tornado warning now down for El Dorado. That is the next one that we're looking at there. So there is another storm down in the southern part of the county, or of the state rather, and there it is, the rotation down to the southwest of El Dorado right now. Small community of Wesson, and it looks like it's going to be lifting up to the north. So you folks, I know there are some that do watch us in El Dorado, be advised of that storm getting to a low spot. You are in the tornado polygon. But the one that we're looking at is now in that northwestern corner. And James, that's going to be moving over into Hot Spring County pretty quickly. In fact, it's probably very close to the line right now.
Pretty quickly, yes, and it's going to be very close. Just to the west here is Lono, and the Lono Rolla Volunteer Fire Department is right in the path of this as it moves towards the northeast. Just looking at a map there on the south side of Hot Spring County. So if you're at that Volunteer Fire Department or in the vicinity of it, seek shelter immediately. It's going to eventually take it up into Malvern. So we've been kind of focused on where it is right now, just to the west of Willow. A lot of county roads there on the north side of Dallas County. If you're in Malvern, or if you're traveling along I-30 up towards Malvern, maybe hold off and let this storm pass in front of you. If you're back towards Arkadelphia, Caddo Valley, or on the other side, if you're towards Benton, Bryant, hold off if you're headed towards Malvern or Rockport, because this storm is going to be getting up towards that area. The area of rotation continues to be very strong. We do have a couple of storm chasers in the area. They're a few miles to the north, so we may have some reports coming in here soon. Good news is, with as strong as the rotation was just a few moments ago, I don't see a debris signature on radar just yet. That could change at any time. So take your tornado precautions immediately. This storm, like you said, Barry, is drifting north a little bit quicker than the other ones were, and it's maybe taking a little bit, not just due north, but maybe a little west of north, maybe a little bit heading towards Donaldson. So Donaldson, make sure you're in your tornado safe place as well. And this is, again, Barry and I were talking about this off the air. It's as impressive a supercell that you get when you're talking about a tropical system. Normally, these areas that rotate are just embedded in giant areas of rain. This one, not so much. Very impressive tornadic supercell there. This is getting very close now to the Dallas-Clark Hot Spring County intersection there, just to the east of Brown Springs. We'll go back to the area of rotation that we want to look at here. It is still there just to the west of Willow, and I'm getting, I think, a couple of spots, Barry, I want to point out. There's a very strong indication for rotation there right along County Road 359, and that's going to place it just a mile or so south of the Hot Spring Dallas County line. It's moving north-northwest. I think that is the area of rotation that we're watching. There could possibly be another one just off towards the east. But looking at reflectivity, I think this is the area that we're watching right there, and that's, again, west of Round Hill. Again, Lono is off towards the intersection of Highway 222 and Highway 9. To the west of that, you've got the Lono Rolla Fire Department there that I just circled for you, a volunteer fire department that sits there. So this cell continues to drift off towards the north, and Barry, you said it's moving at about 40 miles per hour, so we'll put a storm track on that. That would take it in the direction of Malvern and maybe Hot Springs, and Malvern estimated time. These storms fluctuate in their speed, 8:14. May even be sooner than that, with the forward speed being a little bit quicker. So 8 o'clock to 8:05, 8:10, getting into the Malvern area, just to the west of the Malvern area. I'm getting a couple of pictures. Barry, I've got a picture of a tornado in Pine Grove, east of Sparkman. So that was back down in Dallas County.
Well, we're getting reports of a few trees down there, so that it could have briefly have happened.
Yeah.
Let's come to me real quick here, and I'll show you that rotation, which is now just on the line between Hot Spring and Dallas County. It went just on the east side of Sparkman a little bit earlier, and I don't know that it was producing a tornado that entire time. Could have been producing a weak one, but we are getting some reports of some damage coming in from there. There are some power outages as well. I don't think there were too many, and I'm going to look in Dallas County for that. Right now, 160 without power in Dallas County, 163. 725 in Ouachita County, and 534 in Nevada County. All told, 4,200 around the state without power. But earlier, remember, it was 4,500 in Miller County alone, and that number is down to 1,700. But there are sporadic power outages all the way from Ouachita County up in through that part of Dallas County, and it continues to move north. So that will be along Highway 9. If you're in that area between Donaldson and Lono, go ahead and get into a safe spot right now, because this storm has had the potential and perhaps has produced a tornado. We don't know that for sure. Certainly there's been some wind, because we are getting those reports of wind damage near Sparkman.
I'm working on pulling up that picture, Barry.
Okay. We'll just stay with it right here. If you have pictures of damage, you can always send it to chime in via KATV.com. We've got sunlight for a little while. Don't put yourself in harm's way, though, to get those pictures to us. But we do have daylight for another, well, hour or so with some twilight there. But what's happening right now is this storm, and it continues, and they're taking frequent scans of it right now, moving up along Highway 222. That's Highway 222, yeah. Highway 9 goes straight up from Lono to Malvern, but this is what we're looking at right here. So it's the little notch right here, moving up, eventually would take it right into the Malvern area as it moves off to the north at about 40 miles per hour. So the forward speed on this one is actually a little bit greater than it was.
Okay, I'm ready, Barry.
Okay, let's see. Send it over to James
and
there.
It's a picture, but there's no doubt about it. That is a tornado that went through Sparkman, and that is from Lynn Self-Man. She just sent it to us. She says there are homes damaged in the area. Now, the radar didn't pick up a tornado debris signature, Barry. These storms oftentimes can be low-topped, so that tornado, we don't know how long it's been down, but the storm that we're tracking certainly has the capability to do this again, even if the same tornado is not on the ground. So, Brown Springs, Donaldson, Malvern, this storm has a history of producing tornadoes, and there's a good chance that it may try to do so again. Again, this was the tornado that went through Sparkman not too long ago. We have reports of trees down, and now a viewer report of homes down in the area.
Yeah, that does look, well, there's certainly some wind energy with it there, and we want to thank them for sending that into us. But, yeah, hardly any doubt about that. Now, that doesn't mean, even though it looks like it was of size, that doesn't mean it was on the ground for a long time, because a lot of times these aren't. But that doesn't make it any less dangerous for the time that it's down. And if there's rotation like this, we're just going to say it's really possible that we could have a tornado with this as it passes Highway 222. Eventually, this will be moving up as 67 goes into Malvern. That would take it right up toward the Malvern area. So, Malvern, it's not there yet, but just know what you would do in case that a tornado was moving through your city. You go to the most interior spot, away from exterior walls and windows, get in a small closet, be thinking about it in advance so you don't have to think about it when we tell you that the rotation is there. And we will. We'll pinpoint where the rotation is, and then it's just time to take action. This is moving fairly quickly. The rotation may look a little more ragged than it did, but it's certainly there still. And it's moving off toward the north. And again, the next spot north would be the Malvern area. Let's look I want to continue to look for a debris dropout, and I don't really see that. So these storms not as tall. You can't loft that debris maybe up as high into the storm. And that doesn't mean that it hasn't produced a tornado. And apparently it has produced some damage. I think especially on the east side of Sparkman is where we saw the rotation go. So it wouldn't shock me to say that on the east side of town or just out to the east of town, that's where we would have had that tornado that we just showed you the picture of. I'm looking at some other things. Again, no debris that I see anywhere with this storm.
Maybe it's a little less intense than it was.
Yeah, I think it looks a little more
ago.
ragged than it did. So it may have pulsed up and then pulsing back down.
Yeah.
But it may pulse back up again. And I don't think the setting of the sun is going to affect this too much tonight, James.
Yeah, at least not initially. And so what we want you to do when a tornado warning is in effect, and really, even when tornado warnings aren't in effect tonight, we have to watch these storms very carefully because low-top supercells, which is a lot of what we'll deal with tonight, it's hard to detect tornadoes. And so we had a tornado go through Sparkman. This is the same storm that's now crossing into Hot Spring County. Along I-30 is included all the way from really almost the Clark-Hot Spring County line all the way up towards Traskwood, and this includes 270 as well, and this is getting very close to crossing over Highway 222. We don't have a debris signature or anything like that, but again, you know, we followed this storm all the way through Ouachita County, and there's a good chance that it didn't produce a tornado in Ouachita County, but it certainly did as we got into Dallas County. And Barry, I'm getting some other videos from the storm. Impressive structurally as it went through Ouachita County and the East Camden area. Destiny Barrett just sent us some videos that I'll work on uploading here at some point, but of the storm that went through there. So this storm has been going ever since it came through and developed in Union County, so we just have to take it very seriously. We don't know that there's a tornado down right now, but we know that this storm has produced a tornado at least once. Highway 222 is right here. There's the area of rotation that we're watching, Donaldson and Brown Springs just off to the west. If you were into those both places or very close to them, I'd make sure that I'm in a safe place, because at any point this could kind of begin to veer towards the west in tropical systems. Remember, we're kind of rotating these storms around a center point that is moving. So the storms are not exactly moving in straight lines tonight. The area of rotation continues to, well, it continues to look impressive there. And the area that I'm looking at, that I'm zooming into, is the area of rotation Roundtree Road, and that's just south of Arkansas 222. That's kind of the area of greatest concern right now. Looking at it from the Little Rock radar, I'd say we still have, it's moderately strong rotation there is what we're looking at. Still no debris signature from what I can tell right there. Still a very classic look on radar. This storm continues to move generally off towards the north, though maybe just a touch west of north. It looks like it is raining heavily now in Donaldson, and as this gets close to I-30, of course, we'll be looking at the iDrive Arkansas traffic cameras. Also, a couple of storm chasers, Cole Outlaw sitting off towards the north, and may have a view of it as it gets closer to I-30. He's with the chase group that is here in central Arkansas today. So we'll be looking at his feed coming up, or getting at least his thoughts on his view, if he can get close to it. The strongest area of rotation in the state there is near Highway 222. I do want to back out and kind of give you an idea on what is coming down the road. El Dorado. I know some of you do watch us in El Dorado, so I want to talk real quick about the tornado warning that is in effect for Union County. The rotation looks pretty weak from the radar site in Shreveport, but for the most part, if a tornado warning is issued, you want to make sure that you're in a tornado-safe spot. And look at all these little cells that are moving towards the north, slowly but surely. They stretch from Texarkana and Hope, and they extend all the way to El Dorado. This line of storms, or heavy showers, is just going to slowly drift towards the north tonight. And when you get underneath these, that is where you're going to get 1 to 2 inches of rain. That's where some of your heaviest rainfall will occur, and the heaviest rain will probably occur right along the I-30 corridor, as that rain is kind of slower moving on that end. So back to the tornado warned storm that's closer to the metro area, Barry. Still impressive rotation now coming up on Highway 222.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a little while. Let's take a look at that rotation, and certainly in between the turning of the wind there, those two areas is coming together right in that area. And Malvern, we continue to say that it is headed toward you. Now, will it be producing a tornado then? Impossible to say. But it has rotation with it, and you are now in that tornado warning. You're at the north edge of it. And so right now, be ready to go to that safe spot in your house. You've got a little bit of time right now until it actually makes its way into that area. But it's moving at 40 miles an hour, faster than the ones were a little bit ago, 25 mile per hour forward speed on a lot of those that were down in South Arkansas. But the whole storm, you think about the center of rotation, it's moving up closer to us, and the winds around the center of it are faster, and so the storms are moving faster as they're being propelled along by that rotation from the tropical cyclone. Radar-wise, here's what it looks like. And I'm going to back out and just kind of give you a perspective on this. Here we are in Little Rock. Here's Hot Springs. And just to the south, moving toward the Malvern area, that's that one storm, kind of in a band there. There's another band with a tornado warning down around El Dorado. And those bands, those spiral bands, have to come up through the state tonight. And we're hoping that they really lose their ability to tap into that wind energy, and the wind energy of the whole tropical system begins to wane somewhat, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Just hopefully it incrementally happens.
Barry, our friend Scott Hollinger is coming into Malvern right now.
Okay, so he'll be in advance of that.
So we're going to have a view. Looking at this on StormScan, sometimes it just gives you a different view.
Yeah, I was going to just say that storm scan view is a lot better.
It does, and we'll look at it here on reflectivity, but it's giving us a tornado vortex signature there. That icon pops up when the circulation is a little bit stronger,
right,
giving you cause for concern. So maybe the last couple of minutes, it's not as strong, but now here the next couple of minutes, it's a little bit stronger.
Exactly, and we talked about it going back and forth there, but it is, in any event, it seems fairly strong right now, James.
Yes, it does. So Highway 222, again, coming up towards Malvern, and also US 67 runs from Malvern to Donaldson. A lot of trees along that road there, so I don't know that it's exactly going to be very easy to see anything. But we probably do have a lowering, a wall cloud there, and would not surprise me at all if this storm, as it's moving north, once again tries to produce a tornado. It's already produced at least one, and it may try to do so here once again. If you're watching us or just joining us, we apologize for interrupting primetime programming. Have a pretty serious situation tonight with the possibility of tornadoes, and we've already had a couple across the state, 2 or 3 at the least. This storm really has been rotating at least weekly the entire time it's been in the state since Union County, and it's strengthened at times, and that's what we're going through right now, is a time where this has rotation that has prompted a tornado warning. Here's the area of rotation that we're talking about, and I've circled it for you there, crossing now right over Highway 222. A couple of the roads that this is going to be impacting is Ridge Road, and then up Ridge Road you've got areas just to the west and east called Hammond Trail, Landers Trail, and then eventually Highway 9 towards the east, and then eventually up towards Malvern. So that is the kind of the general area that I'm talking about. And as I look up into Hot Spring County, north of Highway 222, I'm going to try to give you a couple of locations that are in the area for you to kind of place yourself. A couple of landmarks. Pleasant Hill Cemetery is right there in that area. Up towards the north, it's the Sardis Cemetery just east of Ridge Road. And then towards the north of that, Ridge Road runs up towards the natural gas pipeline just on the south side of Malvern. Of course, Malvern Municipal Airport, Barry, sits on the southeast side of Malvern, kind of a good deal away from the city, so that also is in the path of this storm. I still do not have a debris signature. We have very strong rotation, but no debris signature, so if there's a tornado down, it's not throwing debris very high into the air. But again, tornado could come down at any moment. Drifting north, it may not go right through Malvern. We'll have to just kind of track it and see which direction it's headed. But certainly between Donaldson and Malvern, that's where the strongest rotation is headed. And it's headed north at least 35 miles per hour. So we will stay with it. We're going to be right here with you. Remember, the interior room of a sturdy structure is the best place to be. Places you don't want to be, in a car, in a mobile home, those are places that just don't do well against any type of tornado, weak or strong. So make sure that you get yourself out of harm's way if indeed this thing does try to produce a tornado here over the next few minutes.
It's going to continue to move off to the north, and that's why we're keeping an eye on it. And I just want to give you a little more perspective. Sometimes we zoom in so tight that you can't tell. But moving up toward Malvern, this would take it out to the east of Hot Springs, more like Lonsdale eventually. But over around Hot Springs, generally this particular storm, will be moving pretty much off to the north. It may go north-northwest just a little bit. But for right now, we're watching that kind of spiral band with one strong storm along it and another one with a tornado-warned storm northwest of El Dorado right now. Other storms along it that just have heavy rain and no mention of rotation along with them. So not all of these storms are rotating. The center of circulation of this storm will start to move up into the Texarkana area, I think, fairly soon. And it is losing speed. I haven't seen the latest on Barrel, but at some point it's going to not be a tropical storm, but a tropical depression as it slips down to around 35 miles per hour and then 30 mile per hour sustained winds. So it will get weaker. That's the one thing that we're sure of. It's just how fast and how much spin in the atmosphere will it impart to these showers, really, kind of large showers that we're seeing there. I hesitate to call them thunderstorms, although that one is a thunderstorm as it moves up toward the Malvern area. Okay, let's zoom back in on this now. As James said, you need to be getting into the safe spot in your home. It does look like maybe it's taking a little bit of a jog to the west there, James. That would sense that, or you would get the sense that it's maybe curling around just a little bit. So, Hot Springs, we'll watch this storm, but I think it's going to be going east of you. But I think that's something we need to watch because it looks like this thing is jogging a little bit to the left. So just keep an eye on it if you're up in the Hot Springs area for right now. But the rotation does look like it's mainly going off to the north. Let me go in and show you. Yeah, this is definitely a little bit left of straight north.
Yeah,
this is moving right now.
West.
So I'm going to put it in. Yeah, it kind of jogged a little bit to the west and then it jogged back. So generally the movement is north or just west of north. So it's going to be moving on that Highway 67 corridor right there. And this may or may not move straight toward Malvern, James, but it may be just on the west side of town there. Just looking at those last few frames.
There is a new tornado warning in a different part of the state that I want to make everyone aware of. It is just, in all likelihood, going to be one of these kinds of evenings. This is near Stevens, and this is with a circulation that just moved into the southwest side of Ouachita County, okay? So this just came really out of nowhere, came from the southeast, and it is moving off towards the northwest. This is eventually going to take it into Nevada County, and you may notice this tornado warning is a really small tornado warning. There's the new tornado warning that's going to be in effect for more of Nevada County. So we've got this storm near Stevens that has wrapped up, and that is now the newest tornado warning. There's also a tornado warning in Union County, and then we have the tornado warning up into Hot Spring County. But that is what we're watching at this time. I do want to put a storm track on this for those of you that are down in the far south region of the state. This one moving northwest at least 25 miles per hour, just to kind of show you a few of the communities that this could be impacting. We're looking towards, this is north of Stevens along Arkansas Highway 57. This is going to be towards Mendenhall, Ames, and eventually up towards Prescott if it indeed does hold together that far. A couple other spots along that track would be Bluff City, and this will be to the south of Chidester, Cale, and again, that's going to take it in the direction of Prescott, though it does have a ways to go. So that's strong rotation that we're watching with that circulation. That is actually embedded with the main line. So those tornadoes, if there are any down there, those are going to be a lot harder to see. But that is where a lot of the rotation is occurring this evening. Closer to the metro area, Barry, you would think with this wind profile, a jog to the northwest actually is more favorable for tornado production here in the short term.
Yeah, you're looking for storms that, generally speaking, go off to the right, right-moving storms for the better potential for tornadoes. But with all the circulation in the atmosphere, it's following those upper-level winds somewhat. And still, though, if you're in the Malvern area, you're in the tornado warning, and now it's getting a lot closer to you. So especially if you're on the south side of town, out to the southwest of Malvern, go ahead and get in that safe spot. No, the sirens are likely going off in Hot Spring County as this moves off to the north. It may be moving barely west of north, but generally speaking, this is a north-moving storm, and it will be moving along Highway 67. So there will be populated areas, a lot of homes along there, but it's crossing the highway right now, and then it will move up. It looks like along the interstate, along I-30, out to the west of Malvern. This is the latest one. I'm going to put it right in the now mode, and so we're watching both that one and the ones down in southwest Arkansas, which have multiple areas of rotation. It seems like with them. I'm going to go back and put a storm track on this one. We're going to zoom out just a little bit just to give you some reference. And up into Garland County, this would be coming toward your way in just a little while. But if the rotation is right there along the road and then we go on up, well, I've got it at 32 miles an hour there, but Hot Springs Village would be way down the road, about an hour away, but Magnet Cove, 819, maybe a little bit faster than that, about 8:15, and Fountain Lake would eventually be in the path of this storm as it moves off to the northwest. unless it takes more of a jog to the west and heads toward Hot Springs, it looks like you'll be off to the east of the rotation center with this storm. All right, back we go, and really the best way to analyze this, folks, is to look at the wind field inside, and it's still, it still looks like there is something there. I don't know that the incoming winds are quite what they were, but there obviously is a circulation center right there along Highway 67, and it's where those two areas come together that you would have the rotation. To me, that looks like where it would be, and it may or may not be producing a tornado. That's what we don't know about this, but it could be, and that's why you play it safe rather than, get into that safe spot in your house. Get away from the exterior walls and windows. Get to a low floor, and with tornadoes like this, they aren't giant tornadoes. They're not EF3 and EF4 almost ever, but it doesn't take that to cause considerable damage. And if you're in the interior part of your house, that is the place where you can withstand even a direct hit on your home. And there's the next scan as it moves now just a little bit north there, moving up toward I-30. That's what it is looking like right now. It still looks like a supercell thunderstorm, and I'm going to go back and just look at the reflectivity product on it, but it's that little notch right there where the center of circulation is, and it looks like moving off to the north from there could be just on the west side of Malvern. But if you're Malvern and west of there along the interstate and then on up toward Magnet Cove, I want you to just be wary that this storm is headed that way, and it is persisting. Hopefully it will not be circulating by the time, or rotating by the time it gets up there, but certainly still looks like it has something to it, James.
Yes, it does, and so we'll continue to look at that as it advances towards the north. Again, if you're just joining us, if you happen to be watching The Bachelorette here, ABC Primetime, we apologize that we are interrupting programming, but several areas of the state that need to be weather aware. First and foremost, those of you in Hot Spring County in the Malvern area, and then off towards the south, this band of rainfall is going to make it towards the Little Rock area. That's being pushed northeast by the circulation of Beryl, which is still a tropical storm. A couple of tornado warnings along that, one from Ouachita into Nevada County, and then another one leaving Union County. We'll see if a new tornado warning gets issued up into Ouachita or Calhoun County, but I'm betting they may let that warning go. So there's a couple of different areas to watch. As this line moves towards the north and northeast, we're going to have to watch it all night long for areas of weak rotation. Doesn't mean it's going to just produce tornadoes the whole time, but I'm betting at times tonight we're going to notice that it's rotating, and we have a couple of spots to watch along that line. Well, in advance of that line, there's the storm that we're watching in Hot Spring County. The storm, as Barry was saying, just kind of taking a little jog towards the west, and the storm actually looks a little bit less impressive, kind of like it's beginning to weaken. However, at the lowest levels, it can still be rotating, even if the storm itself is beginning to weaken. So the rotation is still there, though not quite near as strong as it was back in the northern section of Dallas County. You see it progressing there from Dallas County up towards the north. Still there, not quite as strong. Still dangerous. We want to pay attention to it. We want to take our tornado precautions if you're on the southwest side of Malvern. And now I feel comfortable saying it's taken enough of a jog to the west. This is going to go to the west of Malvern, and I'm going to show you exactly where this area of rotation is going to cross over I-30. With its current path, this is headed for Social Hill. This is going to pass near or just north of Social Hill. So the exit there, I think that's where the big rest stop is, if I'm not mistaken. There's a big rest stop there. And so this is coming up right into that direction. Again, south and west of Malvern. After you go through Rockport, you hit Social Hill on the way to Caddo Valley. So I think there's nothing on the ground still, Barry. No tornado debris signature. If we had something, we would likely know it with being this close to the radar site. Still a strong area of rotation, but as we look for debris, I still have nothing of note. That's good news, and hopefully that keeps up. The overall storm structure, again, we'll put that in motion to kind of look at it. You see a lot of the purple showing up here in northern Dallas County. Well, we've kind of lost that in the reflectivity as we've gone into Hot Spring County, so it is a sign that maybe this storm is beginning to weaken and it's beginning to slide towards the west as it has approached Malvern. It's about to cross I-30. I want to see what the National Weather Service thinks about this storm. They have just continued the tornado warning for Hot Spring County, and that's going to be until 8:15. It's moving north at 30 miles per hour in effect for about 12 more minutes before they either let this one expire or they issue a new tornado warning. We'll go over the warnings that are currently in the state. It's just 2. The Union County tornado warning has been allowed to expire. So still, for those of you in our viewing area in Nevada County or the far southwest part of Ouachita County, that tornado warning that's in effect in Ouachita County likely going to be allowed to expire as this storm is going to be moving out of Ouachita County soon and into Nevada County entirely. Between Ralston and Bluff City, along Arkansas 295 near Cale. Again, you have a storm that's headed your direction that could be possibly producing a tornado. Further away from the radar, it's a little bit tougher to kind of diagnose where the rotation is. It just really looks like a jumbled mess, but I'll do my best to pick it out based on all the training that we get on radar data, and I would say it's going to be right there in that region, getting very close to the Nevada County line. And so this storm very well could produce a tornado, and any of these along this line as it advances towards the northeast could do that as it moves. So Nevada County and for the moment, far western Ouachita County just under the gun as another tornado warned storm passes through the area. And up into Hot Spring County, we're going to hope the trend of the storm weakening continues. It has, at least over the last couple of scans, the storm has not looked as impressive, and that has the trend has continued here the last a minute or so, Barry. But even as the storm continues to weaken, we still have a pretty strong rotation there at the lowest level to the southwest of Malvern. So we have to continue to watch that until it's gone completely. And the National Weather Service says that they probably will be continuing the warning out of Hot Spring County shortly, getting some verification of tornadoes compared to radar signatures. So even though the radar signature is not that impressive, they think, yeah, it's still possible because of these storms, which are, we've talked about, low top, harder to see. The Weather Service says, I guess they're just not going to look all that great on radar before they actually produce tornadoes. So there's been a very persistent couplet in Hot Spring County, what we're showing you there. And some of the storm reports have been delayed 40 to 45 minutes. So we have a view, or we're going to be watching along I-30 there to the south of Rockport. Out by Social Hill. I don't know if that RDOT camera is pointing the right direction. It may be looking off to the southwest, but it's going to be, that rotation is going to be passing very close to there, and we still have some daylight. And I don't know. We're going to continue. I think this is the one that's about right. It's up here, looking back down. So we may see something. Could be a little ways away, but we'll continue to monitor that. But it looks like the tornado warning will be extended on up into Garland County, and in fact, I think it has been already. That actually includes Hot Springs. So Hot Springs, you're now hearing your tornado sirens sound there as this warning box, I'll get that out of the way, goes all the way to Hot Springs and Lonsdale and up into the southern part of Garland County. So if this holds together, it is eventually going to get into Garland County. It still has some stronger low-level rotation. And the latest from the Weather Service is these storms, even though they may not look perfect on radar, may be producing tornadoes even with the signature where you wonder, is it really producing a tornado? Malvern included in this new tornado warning, but the storm continues to be just off towards your west. Magnet Cove, I'd make sure I'm in my tornado safe spot as well. Up towards Highway 70, west of Lonsdale, and maybe time to get in your tornado safe spot. And as far as the Hot Springs area goes, for those of you in Hot Springs National Park, this, again, the westward drift could continue. So time to get into a tornado safe spot as this storm, which continues to have some stronger low-level rotation, is advancing towards the northwest. I believe we have an RDOT camera at Social Hill, and we're about to take that camera on Storyteller. We've got, it's really just raining quite a bit, but the area of rotation is going to pass very close to this area. So we're going to stay on this camera for just a moment as this gets very close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. James, I'm going to take another camera here. We're going to go back, and I'm going to take the one up to the north of it that's looking back down to the southwest toward that storm.
Yeah.
And you can maybe see a little bit of lowering of the cloud base.
Yeah, back in there you can kind of see a little bit of a lowering for sure.
That is not going to be as rain obscured, I think, as that other one, but I'm not sure on that one. The rotation, like you said.
Thomas, anyway, you can put that behind me. That may... Okay, that's take a minute.
That's okay.
But I'll just talk about what we're looking at here. So that's looking down I-30 towards Social Hill. You see the initial low cloud base there, but I think in some of a few seconds ago, you kind of see a lower cloud base there on the right side. Because Barry, that cloud base right there is pretty high. I think to get a tornado, you need something a little bit lower. You need a wall cloud, and I don't think that's what we're looking at here.
I think it's going to be passing kind of in between the two cameras there on the RDOT. It is jogging to the left a little bit. I can go back to the Social Hill camera, and we'll take a look at it real quickly.
It's going to be passing very close to Social Hill, and we're just looking at rain there. But again, a tornado warning is in effect for these areas. So if you're along I-30 at Social Hill, or if you know somebody traveling down I-30 at Social Hill, it may not be a bad idea to try your best to get out of the way just for a moment between Social Hill and Rockport. As we'll go back to radar for just a minute, and I'll show you exactly where we're looking at. The area of rotation right here at Social Hill, crossing over I-30. Looking at the RDOT cameras, we don't see anything down. That doesn't mean there's nothing there, but at least above the ground, we've got rotation right there. And again, we're continuing off towards the north. We're in Hot Spring County. We're west of Rockport, west of Malvern, right over the Social Hill exit, and there's the Social Hill rest stop just towards the east, or northeast rather, of that location. Looking at the wind field within it, very still strong rotation there. No debris signature present on radar, but we still have strong rotation there. I've been checking power outages from Entergy just to see if anything has come up. And this is getting into an area that is serviced by Entergy. And I still don't see any power outages between Donaldson or Malvern. I've got one outage in that area.
Right, I saw 286 in Dallas County, I believe it was, but none yet.
None
Sometimes
in Hot Spring County.
And the latest that I'm looking at, if we can go to StormScan back behind me, well, we've got it on our live Doppler network there. The incoming winds don't look as strong as they did. Obviously, there's still a rotation center there. It just doesn't look quite as strong as it did just one scan ago. It looks a little broader as well as I'm looking at StormScan, but we're going to continue to watch this. And as the National Weather Service has mentioned, it doesn't take an impressive-looking storm here to necessarily produce a tornado. I'm still watching that RDOT camera back there, looking down to the southwest from near Rockport, and I don't see anything. But the warning has been extended on up. It takes in on the west side of it, Hot Springs there. This thing's still moving kind of to the north-northwest, so right down the center line would be somewhere between Hot Springs, out on the east side, out Malvern Avenue, and out toward Lonsdale if it continues to go that way. So Hot Springs, I just want you to be aware. Lonsdale, I just want you to be aware. The circulation center looks like it could go somewhere perhaps in between those areas. James, I don't know what the Weather Service is saying, but just in the last couple of scans, that, to me, doesn't look as impressive as it did.
Yeah, let's go back to the Social Hill camera that's on Storyteller. So I just got a picture from the Storm Chaser, Cole Outlaw, and what we're looking at here, that base of the cloud, that is actually the base of the storm. It actually looks like a giant wall cloud there, Barry, and you can kind of see the cloud base kind of moving around a little bit there, but nothing that looks like a tornado is imminent. Of course, we don't know that we're looking directly at the area of rotation, but generally that is where the area of rotation is on radar right now, is right down towards Social Hill, and this is where we're looking. So I've got a photo that I'll come and show you, that I'll get uploaded to show everyone. But we have, I mean, it's a pretty good-looking storm barrier. It's got a very well-defined base. This is just probably a large base of the storm that is rotating.
Yeah, I think so too. And from that, it would be where you would look for that.
The camera that we're looking at is right here, looking back into the storm. So, hey, at least for the moment, we're looking at things. No power outages on our cameras. We can't see that a tornado's down. These are all good things, but the storm still is very dangerous. So, tornado precautions. We see there's a lot of people out on I-30, but the area of rotation still there. And when we go back to the camera there at Rockport, I believe. We'll go back to that camera.
Yeah, Rockport is looking down to the southwest. There's some clouds, some slag clouds hanging down there. Just nothing that's apparent, but it could be 2, 3, 4 miles away that it's crossing I-30. But that is the base of the storm. And
looks like it's getting, the freeway kind of jets back towards the south. So we're actually looking directly at the area of rotation right there.
Yeah. And that's good. You don't want to see anything there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
looking, you know, we
looking
see
directly
it on,
at it, and we don't see anything happening, at least with our vantage point here. So
yeah,
continuing, you know, we're looking at all the tools that are available to us. I still don't see a debris signature. I saw what might have been the start of one before it crossed I-30. At this point, I still don't see a definitive debris signature. So what you're looking at right there kind of looks like the ragged base of a storm.
Yeah.
You don't have a very well-defined area where you would, at least at the moment, get a tornado. So the storm needs to do a little work. And sometimes that happens where storms reorganize themselves and then go on to produce tornadoes. But at least for the moment, hopefully we're okay.
Yeah, well, we certainly hope so. We are continuing to monitor the National Weather Service. We're continuing to monitor our RDOT cameras as well, and continuing to monitor this area of rotation. Looks a little bit broader than it did, and maybe that's why we're not, as we look down I-30, why we're not seeing any obvious sign of a tornado there. We are getting some more reports of downed power lines in Ouachita County near East Camden. Right now we're calling it thunderstorm wind damage, but we'll continue to monitor that. That'll be assessed much later on. We're just looking for tonight, where is the rotation? Does it look impressive at all? And even if it doesn't look impressive, is there some confirmation perhaps of a tornado that is on the ground? For now, Highway 270 that heads up from Malvern to Hot Springs, that's going to be the next spot that this will cross. Very rugged terrain there. There's Highway 290, and it will be moving, looks like out to the east of Hot Springs now. I don't think it's jogging off to the east anymore. Back to storm scan if we can, just real quick. We'll switch over to that. And right here, north of Social Hill, still that tornado vortex signature that it went away as soon as I showed it. And it's just moving up to the north, and it'll be crossing over 270 as it winds its way on up into Hot Springs, and crossing over there as the highway takes a little jog to the north, and then crossing over Highway 70 after that. So it'll be moving up across that area and eventually into that southeastern part of Garland County out of Hot Spring County. The rotation center went to the west of Malvern, and I don't see any power outages. Sometimes it takes a while for them to register, but I don't see any power outages in Hot Spring County as of now. I think some of these reports have been a little bit delayed from time to time, though. So, but power outage-wise, yeah, still looking at 286 customers in Dallas County and 0 in Hot Spring County. So that's good news. But statewide, we're seeing 5,837. So it was up over 6,000 for a little while. It's fallen below that number. A lot of those were down in Miller County earlier on, but now it's kind of spread out. Places like Pike County, Ouachita, and Dallas, and some in Nevada County as well, even down into Union County. I think there have been some spots that have been affected by these storms, whether it's wind, a brief tornado that took out some power lines, and then the power outages spread out from there. But all of these storms, I think, are capable of that. Looks like the RDOT folks are moving the cameras around. I still see no sign. But yeah, they're moving the cameras around for some reason. Anyway, we'll continue to watch that and that rotation area that will be moving right up along the 270 corridor there. A number of businesses along there and some homes along there and along Highway 290 as it winds its way over kind of to the south side of Lake Hamilton and over toward the dam there. So a couple of spots, lots of trees lining the roadways, especially on 290 there, as it moves off to the north, but we're going to continue to watch that area as it lifts off to the north at about 40 miles per hour. No sure sign that one's on the ground, a tornado's on the ground, but that's a tornado-warned area. And if you're in that area that I've described there, go ahead and get into that lowest spot in your house, the most interior spot in your house. We'll continue to watch other storms as well, and I'm going to go back to the map here and kind of zoom out. We'll go back to just watching the storms themselves, and there still is a tornado warning in effect down in South Arkansas, and that would be over in Nevada County. And for now, that's just a spiral band there, but within that, you have to look at the velocity, the wind velocities, or you wouldn't have anything. You'd have no idea where anything is, and there are some areas of wind, perhaps in Red Hill, perhaps coming up on Prescott right now. It's just a long way from the radar site. So a tornado warning is in effect, but only now for Nevada County.
All right,
I think we have some
pictures from storm chaser Cole Outlaw, and I believe Dylan Atkinson is with them. This is the base of the storm as it's coming into Malvern, and so here's a pretty good view that they had overlooking the Walmart there, and so you're looking down into the base of the storm, and you were looking at the base of the clouds on the Social Hill camera. So a well-defined tropical supercell for sure, Barry, but I cannot pick out in these pictures, and they cannot visually see any lowering or anything that looks tornadic still. It's a big it's a big storm that they're looking at here. Here's another picture of it, kind of a wide angle there. And that is from storm chaser Cole Outlaw, and that's in Malvern. That was about 10 minutes ago as it went off towards the north. Some high cloud bases there, Barry. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Nothing too terribly close to the ground, which is what you see in tropical situations. So there at the Rockport camera, not seeing anything either.
Is there a camera over along Highway 270 as it moves up? I believe it is, right there.
So that's Highway 51 at Stony Creek, and I believe...
So that's the intersection of 51 and 270.
I believe that's pointing, let's see what direction that's pointing, east.
Okay.
So that may, to the right there, capture the storm.
Yeah,
that would be the
storm, but it could be, we're kind of looking off to the southeast there. Mm-hmm. So, well, ideally that would be up just a little bit more, but that is where this is going to cross, right there at that point. And that's 51 coming into 270. All right. But we continue to watch this, and National Weather Service is continuing to monitor this as well. These storms ebb and flow. They get stronger, they get tighter in rotation, and then they begin to loosen somewhat. I think it looks broader than it did, but obviously there is a supercell thunderstorm, a tropical one, with the part of the bottom of the storm lowering down toward the ground, and from that is where you would have the tornado if there is a tornado, and that's certainly not a sure thing on a night like this, but it is possible as this moves up toward 270. Looking at the National Weather Service, yeah, they're looking at those storms down in southwest Arkansas, and they're saying it's at the point where the Shreveport radar and the Little Rock radar come together, which is on down to the south, not doing a great job at analyzing where the rotation is in those storms. This one is a lot closer to the Little Rock radar, and that's why we get a much better view of this. And if any of those storms, they're looking at those, if any of those storms look worse than one or the other, they will be issuing for that too. This all moving off to the north, And let's go back and I'll show you just the reflectivity product, which is just the rainfall inside it. Now that's kind of the overview right there. Still out to the southwest of the Little Rock area. And this is the storm with its little, with the hook, and that's where the lowering of the cloud base would be. Moving across Highway 171, and there was, so it's going to be just a little bit west of there.
That camera is starting to capture a little bit of the base there.
Okay.
As we look towards the southeast. And you can actually see the cloud base pretty well right there.
If we can go back to the RDOT camera. Yeah, that's the same thing that we saw out to the east of Malvern, lowered cloud base.
Yeah, and there's no way for us to tell. If you're looking at the screen, you see the little appendage dropping down there. At least with our current vantage point, there's no way for us to tell if that is a funnel cloud or anything like that. But at least with that camera, in which if anyone's at RDOT manning the cameras, if you can, point it towards the southeast. I believe that's the direction that we need to go. The logo there actually obscuring the part of the storm that I think we need to see.
Okay.
But that is one vantage point as you see the storm approaching 270 there under a tornado warning. And Barry, based on the pictures that I have seen from Malvern, we were not imminently close to a tornado being down, at least as it was going through that area.
And the storm doesn't look much different than it did then.
Yeah, at least from the view we have now and the view we have on radar, it pretty much looks the same. There's weak rotation. The whole bottom of the storm appears to be kind of rotating as you would expect it to do along tropical system. So we'll stay with it, and until we get the all clear that this has completely fallen apart, or the Weather Service feels like it's going to fall apart, we'll stay with it. This tornado warning is in effect for 20 more minutes. So let's talk about where this is headed. It looks like it's gonna stay towards the east of Hot Springs. I'll put it in motion.
Yeah, and James, the sirens are going on and off in Hot Springs. At least they were. So
this is actually headed more towards the east side of Hot Springs instead of towards the east. It's taking a more northwesterly track. Our Hot Springs camera not available at the moment. But we could certainly look at iDrive cameras as this gets into Hot Springs Village. I'm sorry, Hot Springs. Hot Springs Village is way to the north. But Barry, it's not really strong rotation. It's just there's some rotation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the National Weather Service is looking at. Like any rotation could, at a moment's notice, produce a tornado, and it's coming right up. The bypass around Hot Springs, this is out east of there. Looks like to me it's 3 to 4 miles out east of there, as it will be lifting off to the north and eventually going up over Highway 70. But there you can see what is that area of concern for us. And if we look at it on the reflectivity, it's this little notch right here, same spot. It lines up right there where you see the wind fields coming together, but it will be crossing 270 out east of town, and so that will be an area where certainly there are homes, and on the Highway 70 there, not the population center that just to the west of there is, but certainly if you're in this area, do take cover right now. Go to the most interior spot in your house, get down as low in the house as you can, and the most interior closet or bathroom or some small room that is away from exterior walls and windows as it moves off to the north. Still looking at that storm on our RDOT camera. I think this is looking right back at it. You can see a lower cloud base if we could take it real quick. The RDOT camera is showing that dark lowering cloud base, but it's obscured by trees somewhat there. This is moving, looking back from where Highway 51 comes in, and then we're looking east, kind of east-southeast, as 270 would head on off to Malvern there in the distance. And that's not very far from where that storm will be coming across.
That's a good view of the base of that storm there.
I think it could be just off to the right of there, might be the better view. But yeah, that's the lowering, and it matches up perfectly on where we're seeing it on the radar.
There is a this line of storms down towards the south, well, I'm just going to revisit it for a moment because this is going to be a problem, not just in the name of tornado potential, but a problem in the sense of flash flooding and very heavy rainfall. I want to look at the west edge of this line first. And as this line, really, it's just a fire hose of moisture kind of being pulled back on the north side of the center. That is where your heaviest rainfall totals come from. And this zone right here is where most of the 2 to 3 to 4 inch rainfall forecast comes from. This is some very heavy rain. And as you get back towards the Hope area and Clark County, I mean, you're going to spend a good little bit of time in that area of rain. So some localized flooding is possible. As you work your way towards the east, that's where tornadoes become a little bit of more of a possibility with this band that continues to work its way towards the north. And we do have a couple of tornado warnings down on this side of the line. One of them is in Union County. One of them is in Nevada County. And the one that's in Nevada County, it's just in an area where it's so hard to tell, what's there, given the way the radar looks right now. If you're in a tornado warning, make sure that you're seeking shelter for the amount of time that you're under the warning. And then as we look towards Union County, the main line has actually now gotten through the El Dorado area. So El Dorado is about to breathe a sigh of relief for the rest of the night. But this tornado warning is in effect right along Highway US 82 and going towards the north. And if this circulation holds together, it's going to take it up into, that's going to be Calhoun County, maybe the far western section of Bradley County there. But also very hard to tell if there's any significant rotation within that, just given how far it is from the Little Rock radar. But there's 2 tornado warnings there down in South Arkansas. One little shower starting to develop in northern Grant County, and we'll have to keep a close eye on that. It's kind of out in advance of everything else, not doing anything right now. But the big storm that we've tracked for a long time, structurally, looks a little bit worse, like it's continuing to weaken, but it still is headed right for Hot Springs, still with a little bit of rotation. And let's go to Storyteller. We're looking at the base of the storm.
Yeah, and the folks at the Arkansas Department of Transportation are moving it. If y'all are listening to me, if you could move it off to the right just a little bit, I think there is, I think we're looking at the lowering of that cloud base there, but I think the rotation center is going to go just a bit to the west of where that actual picture is being shot there. Still didn't see anything. They were panning around, and I didn't see anything, James, except a lowering of that cloud base, but I think it's just a little bit off to the west of there. But it is crossing 270 right now, and it will continue to lift off to the north. Looks like a broad area, which probably means it's the whole bottom of the storm rotating around, but a broad area of rotation there over a large area rather than those tight couplets that we see sometimes when we're pretty sure that there's a tornado. I think this is a much broader picture right here, but that is the joining spot here out to the east of the bypass there around Hot Springs, and it will be moving from 270, crossing it now, on up and crossing 70 out to the east of where the bypass joins in with Highway 70.
So we just had a spotter report come in from Lake Catherine, which sits right there. There it is on our map. Of a rotating wall cloud. So it's possible that they are seeing the wall cloud rotate quite a bit. And this is just near the Diamond Head community and golf courses. So it's right over you. That storm continues to move off towards the northwest. We're going to be getting into Hot Springs here very quickly. And the best thing you can do is just to take your tornado safety precautions, and hopefully this thing doesn't drop. It just stays above you. And Barry, as we look at reflectivity, the storm kind of shrinking a little bit. It's kind of losing its punch. So hopefully eventually we'll just see this storm kind of get embedded in a big area of rain and it will be no more.
Yeah, I think so. It's certainly not as impressive as it was. And I know the National Weather Service is, they're saying that it's not an active tornado in all likelihood, but looks capable of producing one at any time. And again, they can go back and forth. But for right now, as it moves through the Lake Catherine area, that's the area of concern. That is our tornado warning that we can see much more clearly than we can see the others in South Arkansas, because this is only about 40 to 45 miles away from the radar site here in Little Rock. So Here's what it looks like on reflectivity. Getting a lot of heavy rainfall in Hot Springs. You're on just the rain side. It's starting to pour over there. And then out to the east, there's Lake Catherine. That's where the little notch is, the rotation area as it moves off to the north. The folks at the RDOT are moving the camera around toward it. Maybe they could stop right there.
Right there. And
yeah, that's the bottom. That's the rotating wall cloud.
Base of the storm there. Mm-hmm. Really, as far as big tornadic storms go, it doesn't look really organized right now.
No, and boy, we hope that is the case. We're really wanting these to die down, to get away from their source of circulation, which right now, if you look at it, is coming into southwest Arkansas, I would think, fairly soon. The center, I'm just going to put this into motion for you on computer number 2, and you'll see the big rotating area, the spiral bands that go around. That's a notable one that James was talking about over the last 3 hours. But I think the center of circulation will be moving up into Arkansas within, an hour and a half, perhaps. It might even be fairly close to the west side of Texarkana there. All the rain is generally off to the right of the center of it. It's they're not symmetrical when they weaken like this. It's generally out to the right that you see the storms, you see the rain, the heavy rainfall, and then right along the track of it. But that's what's happening now. And then we have the one tornado warning storm here, and the other one, and the only other one, is in Nevada County.
And tornado warning for Union County was canceled.
Yeah, it was canceled a little bit earlier. And hopefully what's happening in these spiral bands here, there's just so much rain with them that they kind of destroy the structure of those individualized cells within that, and you get not as much of a chance for it to rotate. But I think within this, we're going to have to watch for little notches of rotation, some just trying to develop in these little eddies right there. But that is one to the north of Prescott right now. And have they canceled that one as well? I believe they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no tornado warning there anymore. The only one left right now is for you folks out on the east side of Hot Springs. So the rotation center is now north of Lake Catherine, and it's going to go pretty close. It's going to go pretty close out there to the east side of town as it continues to rotate on through. So it'll be moving up toward Fountain Lake, right? And kind of rotating around in a northwesterly fashion. But for now, what we've seen, a lowering of the cloud base. We've said it's a big, slow rotation. But from that is where you would have a tornado if it was going to happen. And we've not heard of that. And coming into a fairly populated area here, and we hope that is the absolute case, and this further loses its ability to produce a tornado. But I think we're going to have to probably stick around with it. Hey, want to just apologize to The Bachelorette. The season premiere tonight started, and you may have been watching it. You can stream it 24 hours after it airs, so after 9 o'clock tonight, you can stream it on Hulu in its entirety if you have access to that. But we apologize for this. It's just one of those nights. It's so busy, and we want to keep everybody safe out there. And we hate to do it, but we hate to not keep you informed. So I hope you can bear with us tonight. If it was in your area, and it may be later on tonight, you would want us here warning you all about it. And so, again, our apologies. We do have the tornado watch that's in effect until midnight. Oh, new tornado warning now for Clark County.
That is
James?
for Clark County in its entirety, and it includes Lake DeGray. It includes Arkadelphia, Okolona, Gurdon. Your phones are going off. This tornado warning is in effect until 9:15 p.m. It includes a large swath of I-30, and it's, again, as one of these storms moving off towards the northwest along this big line. I'm telling you, we're just going to be tracking them across the state as they move. Now, it's very hard to pick out on radar, but the feeling from the Weather Service is that as this line moves off towards the northwest, this entire thing has the potential to produce a brief tornado or two. So that's why you see the large tornado warning in effect from Arkadelphia all the way to Oklahoma and Gurdon. this is not like the supercell we're tracking up in Garland County. This is more of just a big line with areas of rotation embedded along it. So it's kind of harder to determine where the tornadoes are embedded in them. So my best advice to you is, under a tornado warning, go to your tornado safe place. This is going to be embedded in very, very heavy rain. There's likely going to be some wind with this as well, and you'll be just fine if you go to your tornado safe place. So that is the newest tornado warning. Again, we'll be looking for the area of rotation. The best that I can see there is that it's entering the southern part of Clark County, and even from the Shreveport radar, and I'll circle it so it's kind of easier to determine. It's kind of right there is what I'm talking about. But one area of rotation there, Barry, I think they're thinking that this line at some point is going to produce tornadoes with the favorable wind fields as it moves northeast. So they've got a tornado warning on that storm. And it wouldn't surprise me at all as we go through the night to see a few warnings on the other side of this line as well. But for now, Clark County, Gurdon, Arkadelphia, Okolona, anybody in that corridor, go ahead and seek shelter as this storm kind of moves up towards the northwest. I think at any time could produce a brief tornado.
Weather Service is also looking at a storm in, it says in northern Grant County. They're just watching it closely.
Yeah, that's the one that just popped up.
Yeah, and so we're just gonna, all of these are gonna have the potential, folks, I'm afraid. And this is what they're looking at. It's north of Prattsville, just that little bit of indication there of rotation. And the thing is, all of these showers that are of any note at all, any of them that can rise up in the atmosphere at all, are going to have some spin imparted to them. Doesn't mean they're going to produce a tornado, but it's going to be one of those that we have to watch and watch and watch, I'm afraid, as we head through the evening hours. In addition to the one that has the broader rotation that is now out to the east of Hot Springs. And we'll go back to this one, and there's that little notch with it. The one in northern Grant County, it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, does it? But it's growing. And so places up in Saline County, we're just going to say, just keep an eye on this as we keep an eye on it for you. But there's, have they expanded the tornado warning?
Which one?
The Garland County one. No, they haven't expanded.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
still
it just
including
looked larger
Fountain Lake.
to
Yeah.
me. It
There's
extends
a lot
well
of
out to
colors
the
on the
east.
screen right now.
Yeah, there are so many, right. A lot of colors there, folks, but it's this circulation here. So Lonsdale, you're way east of it, and Magnet Cove, you're in the tornado warning, but it's well east of you there. Then we go back down to this, boy, that is just a gnarly looking spiral band around this system, and the center of circulation is getting closer and closer to it, so there's a lot of energy being thrown over the top of that. The wind's up aloft, going faster than the winds down at the surface. There's a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere, and that's why they issued the one for Clark County. Those little notches right there. And I think we're going to have to watch all of those areas there.
I think you're right. They did just issue a new tornado warning.
Did they? It looked bigger.
Yeah, they just issued for the rest of Garland County there and for the Hot Springs Village area.
Yeah, they extended it on up to Hot Springs Village. Okay, that's what we're looking at. So that was the old one. This is the new one that extends all the way up, and there's Hot Springs Village right there. So you will be in this storm, both in Saline County and Garland County side of the village there. And this center of rotation continues to move up that way. And I think the Weather Service is just playing it safe rather than sorry on this large rotating area. It's a broad area moving towards Fountain Lake right now. So if you're anywhere along there, the bypass, and then extended on up now, this circulation is right over that area, and it will continue to move right up on through, and that will take it right up toward the village. And as it gets closer, we'll pinpoint a little bit more, but it's hard to pinpoint because the area is rather broad. But where those two wind fields meet, that would be where we might see the possibility, anyway, that a tornado could sprout from the bottom of that storm.
All right, let's time out this storm as it goes through Garland County. It's just on the east side of Hot Springs, still rotating, still at any point could produce a probably brief tornado. Fountain Lake, you've got just a few minutes. It'll be on you here shortly, probably within the next 10 minutes. On the west side of Hot Springs Village, those of you near the west gate, 9:10 is what our system is pegging here as it moves north at about 25 miles per hour. And then beyond that, about 9:15 as it's going to get close to the Saline and Garland County line as this continues to work off towards the northwest. So this storm, remember, began in Union County. Ever since, it's been a problem. It's rotated at times and produced at least one tornado, and it could do so again. So we're looking at the inflow notch there. Just passing Highway 5, Hot Springs, you're dealing with the torrential tropical downpour right now. All of this off towards the west is not the tornado. This is all just very, very heavy rain. If there's going to be a tornado, it's going to be over here towards Fountain Lake. And Fountain Lake, I think this is a little bit closer to you than 10 minutes. I think we're going to be getting maybe within the next 6 or 7 minutes. The area of rotation is actually right there and just towards the north of 70, and that's going to be approaching Highway, or really following Highway 5 off towards the north. It's a very large area of rotation, so it's just broad. It doesn't mean it can't produce a tornado. It can, but it's a little harder to track as it moves off towards the north. So Fountain Lake, Hot Springs Village, along Highway 5, and then along Highway 7 off towards the northwest of Fountain Lake. Make sure, again, just take your tornado safety precautions. That's the best thing you can do. Interior room. And this storm, hopefully, as it continues to advance towards the north, will begin its process of falling apart here soon. Looking back towards the east, the storm that's developed in northern Grant County, that little shower continues to grow, and down into Clark County, where we have a tornado warning that includes everyone west of Arkadelphia. Very hard to read into the data there, but as far as what's actually happening, it is raining hard. Very, very hard. And what we're probably seeing is within this area of rain, we could have an embedded tornado that's moving off towards the northwest, and this storm getting very close to I-30. I'm going to pull up a traffic cam from I-30 because I know it is just raining torrentially there. Probably going to be very hard to see anything, but at least you'll get an idea of the conditions that we're seeing. Thomas or Steve, we can go ahead and go to the iDrive Arkansas website. And we'll go down into the tornado-warned area, and we're going to look right here. Gurdon exit 63. They're raining heavily. Not seeing a tornado or anything like that, but getting some tropical rain there. And then further down towards the southwest, this is at Oklahoma, the Oklahoma exit 54. So a lot of rain coming down. That's looking towards I-30 east, and that is just a night where you just shouldn't. Certainly don't want to be out on the roads. That's a good view right there from the iDrive Arkansas traffic network. Areas of rotation that we're watching in the Garland County area continues to be very broad. It's one of those things where you got to be better safe than sorry. We're watching this right here along Highway 70 and Highway 5. There's the intersection where we could possibly have a brief tornado coming up on Fountain Lake here very soon. And it is moving north, maybe a little bit due west of north. Hot Springs Village, you are going to be next in line for this. You do have that tornado warning in effect. Go ahead and head to your tornado safe spot and stay tuned as we track this storm off towards the north. This does include far western Saline County, includes all of Hot Springs Village, but this is pretty far removed from Perrin, Lonsdale, Benton Bryant, all those communities. There's no immediate tornado threat to those areas. Barry, we're kind of getting to the point in the evening here where as all this begins to advance closer to central Arkansas, we will be able to kind of get a better read on if there's actually tornadoes within this line as we just get closer and closer to the Little Rock radar. That is some very heavy rain that we're going to see, and I'd imagine you're probably looking at least an inch or two of rain from that line as it moves through, regardless of the tornado threat. Maybe a little bit of wind embedded in that as well. Few communities along this line that are seeing some of the worst wind and rain right now. Bearden, Sparkman, down to Hampton, down to Hermitage. Again, we're not looking at any tornado warnings in those locations right now, but we are going to be watching this line as it advances towards the northeast because I do notice that there are a couple of areas of rotation. There's one near Shoemaker, just to the west of Bearden, and of course there's the area of rotation that is in Clark County as well. If you're anywhere near DeGray Lake, off towards Okolona, Gurdon, tornado safe spot is the best course of action with that. And then circling back into the metro area, Pulaski County largely has escaped a lot of the rain since earlier today. The rain is moving in, and it is only going to get heavier as we go through the evening hours. Coming up here on 9 o'clock, it's about to continue raining for the rest of the night. Barry, is there anything else from the National Weather Service concerning the Garland County storm as it just continues to advance north?
No, I am not, haven't seen anything. And I think the theme of tonight, James, is going to be one of, yeah, there may be some brief tornadoes within these lines, and I think it's going to be terribly difficult to see. There is a lot that's happening. Those are still a long way away from the radar, but even closer to the radar there, it's going to be just difficult. And that, by its very nature, tropical storms just are a little more difficult with a little more rain wrapped into them, a little more difficult to pick out that rotation. But it's not impossible, especially as it gets a little bit closer. The one up in Garland County right now is one that we're watching, still broad in its rotation. And so let's zoom on into this, and we'll go to the rotating part of it. And it looks really, boy, it looks really broad around Fountain Lake. In the waning daylight here, and you're just about to run out of daylight at 8:49 now, but the cloud base is lowering. And if there was something, it would be in that area. But boy, it certainly doesn't look like it did a little bit earlier. Doesn't have to look all that bad, though, with the tropical system. But I like what I see as far as that's concerned, but you're still in a tornado warning. So, Hot Springs Village, as this approaches your area from Fountain Lake all the way up Highway 7, it looks like it could be around the corner there where Garland and Saline County meet. And to the west of that, that could be where it moves rather than maybe the east side of the village. You just need to be in that safe spot. Just go down, lower floor, basement, a lot of sub-levels there in the village. But in any event, the lowest level, interior part of your house with a bathroom or a closet. We're going to continue to watch these storms. And it has that notch on it that is, I mean, that storm looked exactly like that an hour ago. And it still looks like that. It looks like there's a little rotation trying to move in there, and it's very broad, and we haven't had any power outages. I continue to look for power outages along the way, and I still am not, I still don't see any. I see 0 in Grant County, 1 power outage in Hot Spring County, 1 in Garland County, 651 in Montgomery County. And there hasn't even been a storm there of note, I don't think. There's been some heavy rain over in that area. So there are sporadic power outages, probably just an indication of some wind with these storms and who knows what else. Perhaps at times a tornado has touched down out of these. But I think it's a fairly weak rotation, but we continue to watch for that. Here's the velocity product as we head up into the village. James, this looks as weak as I've seen it now.
Yeah, it does. It's beginning to fall apart, and
there's just hardly anything to that.
As we kind of work back towards the east with the incoming line, there's a little bit of rotation beginning to show up now near Tull, and that's part of a storm that developed not too long ago, so we're going to keep an eye on that one as it moves off. This is moving towards the west. And notice there's quite a bit of rain now developing as it approaches the Little Rock area. And so as these develop kind of in this swath off towards the southeast, at times these may be able to rotate. And so that's southern Saline County, and just across the county line is Tull. And this cell to the east here in Grant County is just rain, but as these grow, they can rotate. So 2 active tornado warnings in the state, the one in Garland County and Barry. That storm, it does look the same, but it is a lot smaller than it was an hour ago, and hopefully it continues to weaken. And we'll watch what the Weather Service is going to do with the warning down in Clark County. Again, I think it's very hard to pinpoint exactly where the rotation is down in Clark County, just because you have this big area of rain, but a couple of tornadoes definitely possible down in that area. We also have some rotation that we were watching west of Bearden. It's still there, not under a tornado warning. But as we've been saying, this line that's moving towards the northeast, I mean, it's just the remnant of a hurricane that made landfall this morning. So this line will pack a punch, and of course not with hurricane force winds, but it could be pretty breezy as these move through. Very heavy rainfall, and then the possibility of isolated tornadoes. Our tornado warning that's in Garland County, I believe, expires at 9:15. The one off into Clark County expires shortly before that. And we'll be watching the radar to see if there are any other areas of rotation that kind of get going here, Barry. It seems like as one area kind of declines, there's another area that gets going. I want to look just at the last 30 minutes of this storm as it moved out of Hot Spring County and into Garland County. Again, just a weak area of rotation that's moved towards the east of Hot Springs. We've looked at RDOT cameras. We've looked at power outage numbers. We still don't think that there has been a tornado other than what hit Sparkman. And while we're at it, I'll bring up the picture of the tornado that hit Sparkman some time ago. This is the picture that was sent to us by Lynn Self-Man. This was the Sparkman area with a report of homes damaged in the area and trees down, and that was with the storm that's now in Garland County. This is the tornado that went through there earlier in Dallas County, and the same storm, which has not been producing a tornado since, I don't think, has worked its way all the way up to the east side of Hot Springs. Remember, a tornado watch is in effect until midnight tonight, and while we're looks like the tornado warning has just now been canceled for Clark County. So the last tornado warning we have in the state right now, for the moment, is the one in Garland County. And while we're watching that storm move to the west of Fountain Lake, I do want to go over another big threat tonight, and that's going to be flash flooding as this line moves towards the north. We have a moderate risk for flash flooding with this line along I-30 and US 67 and just towards the west. Let's look at Futurecast. That area of rain will advance towards the north overnight, giving a lot of us pretty heavy rainfall for the next 5 or 6 hours. The rain does begin to lighten up a little bit as we get into tomorrow morning. And as the center of circulation passes overhead, a lot of that rainfall is out in front of it. Once you're on the west or south side, there's not a whole lot of rain to go. So tomorrow afternoon actually does look dry. We may even see the sun come out later tomorrow. The rainfall amounts, and don't look at this map and think Little Rock's getting 5 inches of rain. The general takeaway is that there's going to be a lot of spots that get 1, 2, or 3 inches, but there probably is going to be a corridor somewhere along the center of circulation that does get 4 or 5 inches, and flash flooding is certainly possible along that path. So can't underestimate it tonight. We do have a heavy rainfall threat, but otherwise we continue to watch for areas of rotation along the line, Barry, and our storm, which continues to advance north and northwest. Still a little bit of rotation there, right along Highway 7. This is now west of Fountain Lake. Looks like this is going to be west of Hot Springs Village. It's now on the west side of Highway 7. And again, it's moving off towards the north-northwest, passing between Mountain Pine and Fountain Lake. So we'll see if it goes on to produce a tornado, Barry. I think now it's kind of getting into a position on the storm where it's almost due north of the circulation. You would think it's kind of work its way into an unfavorable wind field here before too long.
And that's what James is talking about. When you're looking for areas to the east and to the north of the center of rotation, and when those storms start to move into that quadrant that goes into the northwest quadrant, that upper left quadrant of a circulation, it's harder for them to produce tornadoes. And we have this, the one you're talking about. We have the one that is over here moving up toward Haskell and Trasquet. It looks similar to that one, a broad area of rotation, but I'm going to be watching that one as it moves up toward I-30 corridor out to the west of Benton. That would be where Highway 70 joins up, and it's going to be very close to there. A lot of construction along that area and some torrential rainfall. We'll put this, we'll just go back in, and that's the storm that we're looking at right there. Every one of the storms, you start to get heavy rainfall with a storm, it's going to have rotation with it. Most always, it has been broad and not producing tornadoes, we think. But we're going to watch every one of those, including the one out to the west of Benton and to the one that's moving right up, really Highway 7, as it moves toward the west end, the west gate of Hot Springs Village there. That rotation center will move right up along there, eventually working its way up toward Jessieville. But haven't had any power outages of note, and it is the only tornado-warned storm within the state. We'll go back to just the radar presentation there, and this is, boy, it's going to be a big rain producer here, at least briefly. These are just pounding rainstorms down here, and so many notches along them, and it's just it's a messy presentation, so it would be hard to pick out the circulation within there, but that's what we're looking for, and that's what the National Weather Service is looking for as well. But as we get into this, as James mentioned, you get over here a little bit west, and really the tornado potential goes away. You go out to the east and to the southeast of the circulation center, which is coming up on Texarkana, you lose that ability for tornadoes, really. But up in this upper right quadrant of the storm center, if you just drew a cross in the middle of it, it would be that upper right corner that would have the tornado potential. And here we are in it tonight. Now, it won't last forever. It will last into the perhaps midnight 1, 2 o'clock in the morning hour. But I think after that, it's going to be a lot of the state's just going to be in a rain area, and it quickly will move out tomorrow. I think by the afternoon, we could even see a little sunshine moving back into the forecast. But nothing has really changed on either of these storms as far as their rotation, except perhaps that the one near Hot Springs Village looks even weaker than it was. Certainly it's a thunderstorm, and the one near Haskell looks weak, but there is some broad rotation along it as it moves up and joins I-30 there just east of the Highway 70 and I-30 interchange. Those are the areas that we're looking at tonight. James, we still have this tornado watch in effect. That will be until midnight tonight, but you see one lone tornado warning, and that's with the storm that's out by Hot Springs Village, kind of out to the west there. And that storm, well, it just, frankly, it doesn't look like it's producing a tornado, but these storms in this environment could.
That is right. Let's take a bigger look of what's happening across the region. You can very easily see the center of circulation of Beryl very quickly coming up on Texarkana, and usually in this situation, I know everybody's probably expecting it to rain all day tomorrow. That's not going to be the case. This is the main show tonight, and tomorrow we'll get some of this rain that's on the backside, but then it's going to pull away pretty quickly. We are continuing to monitor the line that stretches from Ashley County back towards I-30. This section, this line segment right here, that's, I think, going to carry the biggest tornado threat with it tonight. And so we'll be monitoring the progress of that line. There are a couple areas of rotation for us to keep in mind. Just one that's off in the southern section of Clark County, another one that's off into the southern section of Dallas County. And then as you go further east from there, I do not notice any areas of rotation. It is all heavy rain. So the couple areas that we're watching are right there. Right there, the Weather Service watching those spots as well. No tornado warnings in effect for those couple of spots, at least at the moment. That tornado warning is in effect until 9:30, the one that is in Garland County, and it looks like the National Weather Service has plans to continue that at least until that circulation is completely gone. And even as the storm has shrunk in size, it still has rotation with it, and I think we're going to take a look here at, we're going to look closer at the Garland County storm, and I'm going to actually show you the last 2 hours of this storm as it's moved from Dallas County all the way to Garland County, and you may notice it just does not look quite as impressive as it did 2 hours ago. It has been weakening ever since it left Dallas County, but still rotating as it has moved off towards the northwest. Still, though, very evident that there's some rotation there, and so we'll continue to watch it. This is west of the Hot Springs. It's going to be very close to, but just west of the Hot Springs Village West Gate there at Highway 7, and this is going to cross over Arkansas 192 and then up towards Arkansas 298 here very shortly. As we get over towards the east, there is more broad rotation near Haskell, but again, it's not a situation where we look at that and think that a tornado right now is imminent. We'll be watching all these areas, all these showers as they move off towards the northwest. But Barry, at least right now, I would say there's not a tornado that looks imminent with any of these circulations that we are watching across the state.
Yeah, the Weather Service, I think, struggling just to see those tiny rotations inside this broad area. And it's going to be one of those challenging nights. But the taller storms are probably going to be able to tap into a little more energy, so they're looking for the tall ones now. And I think the one in Garland County, unless it changes, will probably be deleted. So we're just going to watch all of these showers, storms. Yeah, some of them have some lightning and thunder in them. We're going to watch all of them, I think, rotate broadly, and occasionally they could produce tornadoes. They're watching some down into Clark County, into Dallas County as well. And we'll continue on those heavier bands that move on through. And I'll show you those as we are moving through. I'm going to go back and just show you the area in South Arkansas. It's just a large area of rainfall, the spiral band there of just intense rain. But within that, some spots where there are little indentations, and there could be some rotation with these. Certainly not evident right now. And as we look along those lines, the broad rotation is around Haskell, right there. And it is out to the west of Hot Springs Village, although right now, that looks like it's just about completely gone.
Yeah, it's kind of falling apart.
Yeah, and then down to the south, as you mentioned, kind of those areas in southwestern Dallas County, western Dallas County, over to the northeast of Gurdon, perhaps right there. But even at that, it looks very jumbled, is what it looks like there. So tomorrow morning, there may be some spots that have had damage. We're going to be here monitoring wherever there's a tornado warning. These things could pop up very quickly. So our best advice is to download the KATV Weather app. It's a great way of notifying. You can go to the notifications. You can say, I only want tornado warnings, and I want it to alarm me on my phone and wake me up in the middle of the night. You don't have to stay up all night. You just have to know that we're staying up all night. And if you have it to alert you to the fact that you're on a tornado warning, it's a great way to get warnings immediately as they're issued for your particular spot. Where your mobile device is, where you are, that's where it's going to warn you. So it's a great way to do that and easy to do. But we're going to continue to watch these little areas, like the area down in Gurdon, east of Gurdon, near Sparkman, to the southeast of Sparkman, where already there has been what we think is the only tornado, or the only tornado within our viewing area. There have been tornadoes down in Lafayette and Miller County, it appears tonight, but no debris signature with any of these. It's not lofting it up to where the radar can see any debris in the air, but we know that we have a photo of one that was on the ground in Sparkman, perhaps on the east side of town. We're not exactly sure on the location. That's where the rotation was. So we continue to watch those, and we continue to see that the tornado warning has been, will remain in effect until 9:30, is that correct?
Yeah, they said they're going to let it go for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
To see, I want to show you just the progress of this area of rotation. Definitely rotating, and as we follow the track there up into Hot Springs, just notice as it was really south of I-30, it was a little bit more impressive, but it has kind of dropped off here over the last few scans. Still broad, but not quite as impressive. And in fact, as you look over towards Grant County, the circulation that's become a little bit more impressive over the last few minutes is the one that's right over I-30 near Haskell. However, it's still, I wouldn't call it extremely impressive. So the Weather Service, again, letting this tornado warning kind of sit for just a few more minutes as they're trying not to warn everything that's just rotating a little bit, but kind of warning the storms that are a little bit more impressive. And this storm did produce a tornado earlier, and so the thinking there is that it may try to do it again, though this storm does continue to fall apart. As far as just looking at the radar for other areas of rotation, we're going to have to watch that line. And coming up into Dallas County, there's an area of rotation there southeast of Sparkman. We'll see if the Weather Service decides to place any warnings on that line. I'm sure we'll get at least one or two as we go further into the night as that approaches the metro area. But as of right now, just watching the metro area, we have one active tornado warning, and that is for the northeast section of Garland County, Fountain Lake, Hot Springs Village and other spots that have had tornado warnings have seen those warnings expire. It's going to be a rainy night across Arkansas with this heavy band of rain. Notice the heaviest area of rain, the area that's going to see the most rain, along I-30 and off towards the northwest. Steady rain coming down across western Arkansas, northern Arkansas as well, and now we're starting to see some heavier rain move into the metro area. And we haven't seen a ton of rain today in Pulaski County. We are about to see some going forward. So we'll continue to kind of circle around on the strongest storms down in South Arkansas. We kind of have covered the Garland County storm, at least for the moment, pretty well. Nothing that really catches your eye as far as tornado potential down with this line. It's all just very, very heavy rain that's moving into Clark County, Dallas County, and then down to Calhoun, Bradley County as well. Once you get that line behind you, though, the rain becomes a lot lighter, and certainly not much of a tornado threat with everything that's behind that line. So we did have a storm spotter that reported a rotating wall cloud near Jesseville, but there was no funnel. So, Barry, that storm that's in Garland County, it's just broadly rotating, as it has been for most of the last 4 hours. We've seen different times in different cities. There's been rotating wall clouds, and it's now getting close to Jesseville. We'll have to watch the stuff that develops on towards the metro area here in a couple of hours, because this whole line, and I'll put a storm track on this, is moving towards the northeast as the storms actually are moving towards the north. So here over just the next couple of hours, this line will advance completely towards the north, and it's going to reach the western edge of this line. Will reach the Hot Springs area within an hour, and then a couple hours, we'll see it getting into the Little Rock area. So that's what we're watching, what we're kind of focused in on tonight, the heavy rain threat, the tornado threat. We don't have much of a hail threat, but you'll want to have a way to get tornado warnings. Again, having that KATV Weather app is a great way to do it. Don't rely on tornado sirens. That's a bad way. Those tornado sirens don't always sound. They sound sometimes in places they're not supposed to be on. You want to get those warnings sent directly to you and to your exact location. Looking at kind of what the Weather Service is saying, they are continuing to just watch and wait. And that's what we're doing, Barry. We are watching and waiting to see if anything else happens here with this storm that's in Garland County. Yeah. And hopefully we're about to go into a little bit of a lull here where we don't really see things rotate. I think that would be really awesome.
It would give everybody a chance to catch the breath.
Yes.
And, of course, if there is anything, we'll be right back on with anything. But we're still in that tornado-warned storm. Storm spotter said around Jesseville could see a rotating wall cloud. It's pretty dark out there now, but a rotating wall cloud, but nothing that was kind of out of the ordinary there. So two areas of rotation, one out to the west of Benton, and that's kind of turning hard toward the west, northwest, and this one kind of turning a little harder toward the west-northwest too, and getting farther north from the center of circulation. So the source of the rotation, as these things go a little bit north, you would think they would lose some ability to rotate. But anyway, we're going to continue to watch that. We're going to stay with it until we get word from the National Weather Service that they think that there is just no chance at all for a tornado. And I think it's limited right now. But we're going to watch this storm as it moves, again, out west of Benton. That'll be moving toward the east side of Hot Springs Village. It'll be along the Highway 5 corridor right there, that rotation. That is not tornado warned at all, but we're going to watch it as it moves out toward the east side of the village. Hate that a lot of you who were tuned in to The Bachelorette tonight, we covered up most of that show, and it will be on Hulu within 24 hours of the end of it. So by 9 o'clock tomorrow night, that should, you can stream it on Hulu. We just want to pass along that programming note to you. And we always hate when we have to cover up programming, especially for popular shows, and we just want to keep everybody safe as we can. These tropical systems don't come through here very often. Sometimes it's years between the times that they come through. But when they do, we do have a tornado threat along with them. Every storm has the capability of producing a brief tornado. It looks like it has happened in a couple of spots around our state tonight. Still a tornado watch in effect and that is until midnight tonight. But there's only one tornado warned storm for right now. We're going to watch these spiral bands in South Arkansas. Only one tornado warned storm, and I think the Weather Service is going to look very carefully at that one as it moves past the west end of Hot Springs Village. Here is a little bit broader view. I'm going to put it into motion for you. You can see that area, that spiral band right there, and the center of circulation, which is just coming into southwest Arkansas. It'll take a while to get through here tonight. We're going to get some pounding rain. In fact, there are showers that are starting to build out to the southeast of Little Rock. And as I said, as these develop, these will rotate as well. Hopefully they'll rotate like the ones that we've seen up here, and there will be no tornado with them at all, but we'll watch. The rain is definitely going to pick up here in the Little Rock area very soon. It's pounding rain for Arkadelphia and all the way back down to near Fordyce right now and back into Warren in southeastern Arkansas. National Weather Service is continuing with this tornado warning. We're going to just going to continue to watch what they're saying about it. I think they're as frustrated as all of us about just the ability to pick out little bits of rotation in here. It's a lot less messy in a typical springtime environment when we have large thunderstorms, and it's just out there. You can see the rotation a lot more clearly oftentimes, but tonight it's a little more obscured, and we're just trying to make sure that everybody is safe. That's the broad view of it. It won't last long. The back edge of the precipitation should be through here in central Arkansas, I think by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, perhaps. Maybe just a little bit later than that, hanging on in northeast Arkansas for a while after that. We'll have a complete rundown for you at 10 o'clock tonight, including a forecast that gets a whole lot hotter. Won't be very hot tomorrow, though, with the blanket of clouds and the rainfall that we have there as well. James, anything that you're seeing? It's just, I see on the RDOT cameras, it's just pouring rain outside.
Just a couple of things that are catching my eye, and yeah, let's go to the RDOT camera there on Storyteller first. That's in Arkadelphia, and I want to talk about Arkadelphia for a minute because we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for that region, and we'll come back to the wall here. Severe thunderstorm warning covers Dallas County, Clark County, Hot Spring County, and part of Grant County until 10 o'clock, and this is moving north at 30 miles per hour. And the main threat with this is 60-mile-per-hour winds. So if it's not an isolated tornado, it is the possibility for some high winds. Of course, there's areas of rotation along this line, and we're going to be watching them, Barry. And as of 9:14, looks like the Weather Service has canceled the last remaining tornado warning in the state. And so right now, for the first time in a good long while, we are tornado warning free. Of course, we'll be watching all of this tonight to make sure that if a warning is issued, we'll be telling you exactly where it is and where it's headed.
We are going to send you back to programming now. We're going to keep a watch on that area, especially from Arkadelphia, and I mentioned it, and the National Weather Service issued the severe thunderstorm warning for that area. There are embedded rotations within that. We're